Right now, as you watch this, the United States military is spending $4 million every time it fires a Patriot missile to shoot down an Iranian drone that costs $35,000 to build. Iran has launched over 2,000 of them into the Gulf region since the war began. You do the math. The most powerful military on Earth is bleeding money trying to swat weapons that cost less than a mid-range sedan. And here is the part that should genuinely alarm you. The US looked at that Iranian drone, the Shahed 136, and instead of just defending against it, they copied it, reverse engineered it, built their own version called Lucas. And on February 28, 2026, American forces used Iran's own drone design to attack Iran. The age of the fighter jet, the machine that has dominated the sky since World War II, is not ending someday. It is ending right now, on 2 battlefields simultaneously. And what is replacing it costs less than your car. This video shows you exactly how it is happening, who is winning the race, and why a $400 weapon built in a Ukrainian garage is rewriting the rules that a $100 million jet was designed to enforce. Let us start with the weapon that changed everything. Not a stealth bomber, not a hypersonic missile, a foam and plywood drone with a lawnmower engine. Iran's Shahed 136 is 3.5 meters long with a 2.5 meter wingspan. It flies at about 115 miles per hour, slower than a regional turboprop. It carries a warhead weighing between 66 and 123 pounds. It is powered by a 50 horsepower piston engine that sounds like a moped. Analysts call it the poor man's cruise missile. And it has become the most consequential weapon on the modern battlefield. Here is why. A single Shahed costs roughly $35,000 to build. The Patriot interceptor missile used to shoot it down cost between $3 and $4 million. Every time a defender fires at a Shahed, the attacker wins the cost exchange by a factor of roughly 100 to 1. Iran does not need the drone to hit its target. It just needs you to keep shooting at it. Since the war began in late February 2026, Iran has launched over 2,000 Shaheds into the Gulf. The UAE alone has intercepted 1,914 drone attacks as of late March. The cost of those intercepts, using Patriot and THAAD systems your tax dollars paid for, runs into the billions, and Iran can build replacements faster than the US can resupply its allies with interceptors. Russia proved this in Ukraine, scaling Shahed production to 3,000 units per month by the end of 2025. Roughly 170 drones rolling off the line every single day. That is the math that is killing the old model of air warfare. It does not matter how advanced your fighter jet is, if a swarm of cheap drones can exhaust your air defenses before the jet even takes off. But Iran is only half the story. The other half is happening 5,000 miles away, and it is even more extreme. Ukraine is deploying approximately 9,000 drones per day against Russian forces. Not per month, per day. The country has roughly 500 domestic drone manufacturers producing up to 200,000 first-person view drones every month. President Zelensky has said Ukraine can manufacture 4 million drones annually. A Ukrainian FPV drone costs between $400 and $2,000. The AI targeting module made by a company called The Fourth Law costs $70 and boosts strike accuracy from 20% to 80%. A Ukrainian operator in a basement with a commercial controller destroys a Russian T-90 tank worth $4.5 million, using a drone that costs less than a decent bicycle. Cost exchange ratio, roughly 10,000 to 1. No military in history has faced an asymmetry that extreme, and Ukraine gamified it. The Army of Drones bonus system rewards soldiers with points for confirmed kills. Redeemable for advanced weapons on an online marketplace. First Deputy Prime Minister Mikhailo Fedorov reported 18,000 Russian casualties through the system in September 2025 alone. In June 2025, a coordinated Ukrainian drone strike damaged or destroyed what analysts believe was roughly 1/3 of Russia's irreplaceable, nuclear-capable long-range bomber fleet. Cheap drones, potentially crippling a nuclear deterrent that cost billions to build. Now, here is where most people make the wrong assumption. They hear $400 drone and think the F-35 is finished. That is not how this works. An FPV drone cannot fly at Mach 1.6. It cannot carry precision-guided munitions across 1,000 miles. It cannot penetrate integrated air defenses or provide airborne command and control. The F-35 does things no drone swarm can do. The replacement is not one for one. It is a completely different architecture of war, and the US military is building it right now. Because everything I just told you about Iran and Ukraine, the cheap drones, the cost asymmetry, the exhausted air defenses, none of that is the real revolution. The real revolution is what happens when you give the swarm a brain. On January 8th, 2026, a team at Camp Blanding, Florida, launched 4 drones simultaneously. One acted as the leader. The other 3 followed autonomously. Without human control, the swarm locked onto a column of targets and detonated in synchronized sequence. The Pentagon called it the first kinetic drone swarm on American soil. The Department of War's chief technology officer posted the video with 3 words. AI first. Imagine a robot wingman that flies into enemy air defenses ahead of you. It jams their radar. It launches missiles. It absorbs fire meant for you. And if it gets shot down, no ejection seat, no search and rescue, no flag-draped coffin, no family notified. You just send another one. That is exactly what the Air Force is building. They are called Collaborative Combat Aircraft, CCAs, jet-powered autonomous wingmen designed to fly alongside F-35s, taking orders from the human pilot, but executing them independently. Palmer Luckey, the guy who created Oculus VR, now runs Anduril, one of 2 companies building the first generation. His Fury drone completed its maiden flight over the Mojave Desert on October 31st, 2025. General Atomics flew their YFQ-42A prototype in August. The Air Force wants at least 1,000, the target price per unit, roughly $30 million. According to Colonel Timothy Helfrich, the acquisition executive leading the program, they are beating that target. $30 million versus $101 million for an F-35. For every jet you do not build, you field 3 autonomous wingmen that do not need 2 years and $11 million in pilot training, do not need oxygen systems or ejection seats, and do not get fatigued after 12 hours in the air. The plan is 2 CCAs per manned fighter. 1 human pilot leading 2 robots. By the end of the decade, a combat formation will not be 4 pilots in 4 jets. It will be 1 pilot and 8 machines. But here is the complication the Pentagon does not want to talk about. China is not waiting. China has announced a program to field 1 million tactical drones by 2026. The Jiutian mothership drone, unveiled at the Zhuhai Air Show, is a 10-ton unmanned aircraft that deploys smaller swarms at 560 miles per hour with a 1,200-mile range. The GJ-11 Sharp Sword is a stealth combat drone already spotted at multiple Chinese air bases. And Chinese AI platforms can reportedly assess 10,000 battlefield scenarios in 48 seconds. The Pentagon ran wargames against AI-controlled drone swarms. The New York Times editorial board, reporting on the results in December 2025, warned that autonomous swarms could soon hunt and kill without human oversight. The U.S. Replicator program, launched in 2023 with $500 million to deploy thousands of autonomous systems by August of 2025, delivered only hundreds, according to the Congressional Research Service. The ambition was there. The execution fell short. Meanwhile, Iran was mass-producing shaheds by the thousands, and Ukraine was fielding 9,000 drones a day, with a fraction of the budget. The counter-swarm problem is already consuming billions. The U.S. allocated roughly $7.5 billion for counter-drone systems in the 2026 defense budget. But the math is brutal. In the Gulf, the U.S. military fires interceptor missiles, costing millions to shoot down drones, costing thousands. You run out of missiles before they run out of drones. That is the equation that terrifies fleet commanders and base defenders across the Middle East right now. The British tested radio frequency directed energy weapons in 2025 that can disable entire swarms for pennies per engagement. But those systems are years from widespread deployment. The Air Force currently plans to retire 593 fighter aircraft over the next 5 years, while buying back only 244 new jets. The gap is supposed to be filled by CCAs, but the CCA program will not deliver full operational capability until the end of the decade. That leaves a window, years wide, where the fighter fleet is shrinking and the drone fleet is not ready. That gap is not just a budget line. It is the sound of one era ending and another beginning. The last time a dominant weapons platform was replaced, this fundamentally was when aircraft carriers made battleships obsolete in World War II. The battleship admirals fought it. They swore no airplane could sink a capital ship. Then Pearl Harbor happened, then Midway. The battleship era ended not with a debate, but with wreckage on the ocean floor. The fighter jet will not vanish overnight. F-35s will fly combat missions for decades. But the ratio is shifting. Where a formation meant 4 pilots, it will soon mean 1 pilot and 8 machines. Where air superiority meant having the best pilot, it will soon mean having the best algorithm. The Pentagon spent $13.4 billion on autonomous systems in fiscal 2026. President Trump signed an executive order titled Unleashing American Drone Dominance, with a stated goal of buying 300,000 domestically produced weaponized drones by 2027 at a target cost of $2,000 each. Here is the fact that most people still have not absorbed. A Ukrainian teenager with a $70 AI module and a $400 drone has more kill capability per dollar spent than a trained F-35 pilot flying the most expensive weapon system ever built. The pilot is better in almost every other dimension: range, speed, payload, survivability. But on the single metric that wars are increasingly decided by, cost per kill, the drone wins by a factor the fighter jet will never overcome. And Iran just proved it on a national scale. 2,000 shaheds at $35,000 each against billion-dollar air defense networks. The drones did not need to destroy anything. They just needed to make defending more expensive than attacking. That equation has never been true in the history of air warfare. Until now. The question is not whether drone swarms will replace fighter jets. They already are, in Ukraine, in Iran, in the Pentagon's own plans. The question is whether the transition happens fast enough to matter before the next war starts. Because every month that passes, the swarms get smarter, the AI gets cheaper, and the math gets harder to argue with. If this changed how you think about the future of air power, subscribe now. Next week, the counter-swarm system that can disable hundreds of drones simultaneously without firing a single bullet. The race to build the shield against the swarm has already begun. You do not want to miss it.